board member with Seneca Community Players, and I am the auction chair and this event planner.
And my name is Deb Bly. There's no chair. There was a chair. Thank you. I am the director of Willy Wonka this summer. That show, which is a musical, is based on the, my sister, always the critic. It's a musical. It's based on the film of starring Gene Wilder and Peter Ostrum, who is here tonight. Okay. The show is being held at the Delavan Theater, which is at the New York Chiropractic College, July 15 through 17. Now, who doesn't want to be in Willy Wonka? Okay, I'll assume you all said, I do, because you can. This is not a traditional audition for parts. Every part in Willy Wonka is being auctioned off to the highest bidder. And that is because this is SCP's big fundraiser of the year. We call it a fundraiser because it is going to be so exciting. Okay, your turn, Susie. So on May 13th, we will be holding our auction at the Seneca Falls Elks Lodge, which is just on the other side of the canal. We have information here. Charlie is at, not Charlie Bucket, but Charlie is over here. He has information. We have pledge sheets, so you can get backing financially ahead of time to bring to the auction, so you have a good start for the parts. In addition, the Elks Club is having a fish and steak dinner. So if you want to arrive early, what time does it start?
5:30.
5:30, okay. In addition to the parts being auctioned off, we have a silent auction and raffles, and that is goods and services donated from businesses around our community, as well as individuals who want to clean your house. I'm going to bid on that. Okay, so we hope that you will all be there, and especially with the sponsor sheets. You go to all of your friends, all your relatives, and say, hey, sign up and pledge $5, and you never know. You know, that will go toward your opening bid. I think it's Susie's turn. Hold on. Okay, it is. We have it written. I wrote it.
Okay, so we're really excited. Everybody here is ready to meet Peter Ostrum. When we said that we were going to do this auction, I decided that I would write a letter to Peter. Didn't know his address, so I sent it to the animal clinic that he works for. Sent an email, and I didn't hear anything in 2 weeks. So I sent a letter, didn't hear anything in 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden I'm at lunch because I was subbing at the school, and I get this call, and it's Peter saying, oh, he'd be more than happy to help us with the publicity. And so it began, and we not only had the auction to plan, but this publicity party, and we just want to thank a lot of the businesses here that have been very helpful, that brought you this wonderful dessert buffet. Those businesses will be listed over there that have helped contribute to this. But we are going to have, I gotta get my cheaters back on so I can read.
We have a few rules. Oh, did you tell them that Peter is charging us nothing?
Yes, Peter is doing this, just all proceeds from the autographs, anything, the photos that you take, all proceeds are actually going to Seneca Community Players. He is not charging us for the appearance today. So, yeah, So how this is going to happen, we're going to bring Peter out. He's going to give us a little talk, and after that we'll have a short Q&A session.
Well, about 15 to 20 minutes, okay? Keep that in mind. We're going to try to get as many questions in as we can. Susie and I will be out in the audience. You raise your hand, don't shout out. We won't call on you if you shout out. If you raise your, I sound like a teacher. If you raise your hand, we will bring you, you will come to us, to our microphone. Okay, and Peter will be up here to answer.
And after the Q&A, then we will have people get in line to purchase a headshot and an autograph, or if you brought something to have autographed, or if you just want to have your photo taken with him, the pricing is there. It's $10 for a headshot and an autographed headshot. It's another $5 for if you have brought something to have it autographed. And then if you'd like a photo, it's $5. And like I said, all proceeds are going to go to Seneca Community Players, so thank you ahead of time.
Okay, Bobby and Lynn, raise your hands. That's where our cashiers are. We do ask, it's very important, when people go up to have their picture taken with Peter, please do not take a picture of them. They're not your family. And it's just inappropriate to do that. So if you could follow that strict rule that I just told you, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, now, let me bring it up. Oops. There you go, honey.
Okay, so, a native of Cleveland, Peter Ostrum was 12 years old when selected by talent agents for Willy Wonka. Though he enjoyed the experience of shooting the film, he opted not to sign a three-film contract when it was over. After his film career in theater, he became reluctant to speak about his one starring role. In 1990, he began an annual tradition of speaking to school children about the film, and he became a subject of interest again when 2005's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was released in theaters. So, Peter, are you ready? So let's welcome Peter Ostrum.
This is too high.
We have technical issues here.
I'll do better with that.
I won't use that.
It's just like being on stage again.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. So thank you very much for inviting me down. My name is Pete Ostrum, and I was Charlie in the original. They made a remake, didn't?
Yeah.
Can everybody?
Eat that microphone.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, the only good thing was Johnny Depp. Yeah.
That's his name, Johnny Depp. I couldn't remember the name. So I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and I worked at the Cleveland Playhouse, which is where I got my start doing theater work. And here we are, 45 years later, and I can't believe people are still talking about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And it probably the success of this film, and Johnny Depp's film for that matter too, really goes back to the book Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. I don't think there's a third or a fourth grade class that hasn't been read the story by their teacher. It's one story that everybody's heard. And Roald Dahl, he wrote multiple stories. And then why I think it's been so exciting, or why the film, why there's, kids that are 5 years old and people that are 70, 80 years old here tonight, is that you can watch this film with your family, and everybody gets something out of it, a little bit different. Kids get something at a different level than what the adults do, than what the grandparents do. So, but that's really a testament to Roald Dahl and how he wrote, and there's kind of a dark side to Roald Dahl's stories. And so what actually happens to all the kids when they leave the chocolate factory, we really don't know what happens to them. But I get asked to talk you know, at a variety of events. And to tell you the truth, I don't have time to go to very many of these events. But every once in a while, and it's like once a year, I'll get kind of a neat letter, and Susie right there, and it usually, if it's a well-written letter, that means a lot. and you know, something to give back to the community. And when she was talking about the community theater here in Seneca, I said, you know, to myself, that sounds really neat, and you know, I'd like to help everybody out down here. I live in Louville, which is not too far away, you know, to the north on the Untitled Plateau, so we get lots of snow, and I am a veterinarian, so I mainly work on dairy farms in that area. And so Louville is a lot like Seneca Falls. You know, the upstate town or upstate New York towns are fairly similar. They all had, at one point, they were thriving with manufacturing jobs, and you know, things have changed. So when she asked me to come down, I was more than happy to do that, and I think it's a great cause. I was reluctant to talk about Willy Wonka for years. I pretty much denied that I was in the film, or I would say, no, you've got the wrong person, or you must mean my brother. He was in it, you know, and really didn't have much interest in talking about it. Well, it really changed when I had children of my own, and saw that they were kind of interested. Now they're not interested at all. They're not impressed that their dad was Charlie. Susie said, your wife is coming down too, I'm sure. And I said, she's not impressed either. So I came along. But, so just to give you a little bit of background, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, worked at the Cleveland Playhouse, and the children's theater was pretty unique. An old children's theater, but the Cleveland Playhouse is one of the oldest professional theaters in the United States. Joel Grey got his start at the Cleveland Playhouse, and who remembers who played the Wicked Witch of the West, Margaret Hamilton, also got her start at the Cleveland Playhouse also. So when they were casting the film, the casting agency, they called around the country and basically checked with local community theaters, children's theaters, and the Cleveland Playhouse was one of the theaters that they contacted, asked if they had anybody that they might have in mind that they could recommend that would want to audition for Charlie. And so my name was given to them. I was in the 6th grade. I was 12 years old. I had worked at the Playhouse for about 2 years, doing basically a production a year in the children's theater, but then also doing some of their adult productions also. So no television, no, I had never been in a film before. And so I was basically an unknown. So they sent their representative out from New York. We had no script at that point. They were still writing the script. And so I just read from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We just had a tape recorder. So she taped my voice, and she had a Polaroid camera. The older people will know what a Polaroid camera is. So she took several pictures and basically said, you know, I'll take this back to New York. The producer, the director, Mel Stewart, you know, listen to you, see what you look like, and if we're interested, you know, don't call us, we'll call you if you're interested. And probably that was in early June, and in middle of August, they did call and said that they wanted to do a screen test. So I went to New York, and I actually did a scene, you know, from the film with another actor. And so now they could actually see what it looked like, you know, on film. again, they said, you know, you're still in the running. They wanted me to lose weight for the next month. And I was at summer camp, as I recall, so, you know, doing all these activities and everything, I'm trying to lose weight, because Charlie was from a poor family and didn't eat very well. So then they called in August, and it was probably right around the 10th, the 11th of August, and said, okay, you're Charlie, and you've got to be in Munich, Germany in 2 weeks to get ready to film. So people want to know about the experience. You know, being in the film was pretty cool. It was neat, a lot of work, okay? But living in Germany when you're 12 years old made a huge impression on me. So when I talk to schools, one thing that I really stress is for kids to take advantage of travel. Travel as much as you can. And in our little county, in Lewis County, you know, a lot of kids, you know, they don't go out of the county. They don't go to New York City, you know, they don't go to Albany, they don't go to Syracuse. So if I can encourage them, encourage their parents to get them out of the county, then I feel like I've done something positive. Which leads me to another point. If it hadn't been for my parents, okay, I never would have been able to take classes at the Cleveland Playhouse. You know, it was because of their support that I was able to take classes. And then in the end, people, you know, well, why didn't you continue? And that's a good question. I just didn't feel that, you know, theater acting was really my calling. Fortunately, I found another calling that, you know, find out what you like to do, and hopefully somebody will pay you to do it. And theater work really wasn't it. I enjoy theater, I support theater, I love movies, but it's a hard way to make a living, especially as a child actor. You know, you can point to Jodie Foster, Ron Howard. They made it from being a successful child actor to an adult, having a professional, successful adult career. But there are a lot of kids that get lost in the shuffle. And so I took a different path. But really, and so my parents, they were supportive at the beginning, but they were also extremely supportive when I said no, that I didn't want to continue, that I wanted to, you know, stay in school and try to get into veterinary school. And so I don't know, you know, I look back at that, and that was probably hard for my father, because he did want to be an actor. And when he retired, that's what he did. So it was probably hard for him to, you know, to support me 100%, but he did, you know. So I was in Germany from August through about the second week in December, and we worked at the Bavarian Film Studio. So actually, this was 1970, and Munich was a pretty exciting place to be at that point. We were 2 years away from the Munich Olympics, so there was lots of building, and really it was the kind of coming out for Germany after World War II in many ways, just 25 years after, and so they were getting ready to, you know, put Germany, you know, on the world stage again. My father originally came over with me, and he had been a guest of the Germans. He was captured during World War II, during the Battle of the Bulge. But he was very excited to be back, and I always tell the story, we were living in a brand new hotel that they built for the Olympics, and he goes, boy, this just isn't what I remember, you know, of Germany during the war and after the war. And he said, I'm going to look around and see what else, you know, we can find to live. And he found a very small hotel close to the film studio. In the end, all the other actors and actresses moved to this same hotel. So, and it was great fun to be there. So Dad was over with me for a couple weeks, getting me settled. My sister was getting married, so he had to go back for the wedding. I had to stay and continue working. And then my mother came over and stayed, was my chaperone for the duration of the film. So school, I had to be in school 3 hours a day with my tutor, and so my assignments were sent over, and then I had to send them back periodically. And so that was often a challenge, being on the set. And if I wasn't on the set, then I had to be in school working on my assignments. But we got it done, and when I came back, I was, pretty much in line where all the other kids were. Then the film, I had to go back to California. We had to redo some of the sound work. That was in March of 1971. And then the film was released in July 4th of 1971. And really, it's kind of neat because the driving force behind Willy Wonka was not so much the film, but it was Quaker Oats hoping to produce chocolate and to use the film kind of as an avenue for sales of chocolate. And it really didn't pan out very well for them. You can still buy Willy Wonka candy, but they're on the name has been sold multiple times. And the film, kind of opened the lukewarm reviews. Gene Wilder, was just, making a name for himself. Jack Albertson was already, very well known. But the film, the critics, they kind of liked it. But actually, our best review came from Gene Siskel of Siskel and Ebert. He loved it, and so that was kind of neat, that he liked it. But the film kind of, came out in theaters, and then it kind of people forgot about it. It really didn't hit pay dirt until probably 10 or 12 years later when it came out on video, and people brought it home and they said, yeah, well, I remember this film, and then they introduced it to their children. And they realized, this is kind of a neat film. Everybody can sit and watch it. There's some good messages in the film. And so it was introduced to a whole nother group of people. So then it really kind of took on a life of itself. But for many years, it was, people had kind of forgotten about it. I had kind of lost track with all the kids. We all went our separate ways. Then there was a fellow who actually was very fascinated with the book and tracked us all down, and 20 years later, we hadn't seen each other in 20 years, brought us all back together for a reunion. That was very cool. And we're still in contact with each other. We get together once a year, probably once every year and a half. And we're all still alive. We're all doing well. We all have different careers. And it's been kind of from the support that the film still has. It's been really neat. If you can have one film to be in, I guess this was it. Sure. So I'm sure there's questions that I haven't hit upon. So.
All right. Remember what I said. You have to raise your hand.
Oh, we got someone standing.
All right. You have to speak loud. I can't get that far.
We can repeat the question.
Hi. Peter?
I answer to both.
That's my next question. Do you answer when somebody yells out Charlie?
No.
I have one more. I must.
Believe it or not, I don't.
Must.
Yes.
How sick of you are of chocolate?
I still like chocolate. I do. I do.
Anyone else?
Although that's a good question. So here we are in Germany, okay, and with wonderful chocolate, but Wilbur Productions decided that they would bring Peter Paul Mounds bars from the United States over to Germany, and that's what we used in a lot of scenes.
Is that?
That's true.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead, honey.
How much makeup did the Oompa Loompas put on?
Right. So the Oompa Loompas had a lot of makeup. So I had to go to makeup every morning, and they didn't have to do much with me at all. But the Oompa Loompas, they were not only, that it took them a long time each day to get the makeup on. Think how long it took them to take the makeup off every night. So they were there for hours. They were there for hours.
I had a question from the back.
Other than Charlie, who's your favorite character and why?
Probably the scene Julie, who played Veruca. And she is nothing like Veruca at all. But when she sang her song, I Want It Now, I had never heard her sing before, and it was like, whoa. I was very impressed. And so that whole sequence, I thought it was wonderful. So, and I don't sing, and I can't sing, and I did sing a little bit in the film. And they didn't, originally when I auditioned, they said, don't worry, we won't use your voice, but they ended up using my voice.
Oh, that's good. All right, another question? Yes.
So what inspired you to pursue the career that you did? Like, how did you make the leap to veterinary medicine?
So after the film, I started, and I grew up in suburbia in Cleveland, not on a farm at all, but I did have some equine experience, and then started working on horse farms, and eventually bought a horse, and I liked working outdoors, I liked working on the farms, and then I met our veterinarian, and he was so happy at what he did. My father was a lawyer. I had no idea what he did. He went to the office, he got in his car, he went to the office, came back. I didn't have a clue of what he did, but I knew exactly what the veterinarian did. And he seemed really happy, and so that just started kind of the ball rolling. So,
Okay, I have two questions.
No, go ahead. I think veterinarians, we're all kind of unique from the standpoint that most vets know at a pretty early age, that's what they want to do. So our clinic in Louisville, we have student externs all the time from all over the world. And most of them, almost all of them know, it's like 12, 13, 14 years old that that's what they want to do. And we tend to be kind of a focused type A group of people.
Did you know at the time of filming?
No, not at all. Not
So
at
it was
all.
after?
It was after that, yep.
All right, I have a question over here, and then I have one over here. Go ahead.
I don't know if you already answered this, but what made you become a vet?
Well, I think just the enjoyment of working with animals, and what I do as a dairy practitioner, it's really about the relationships. I'm on farms, the same farms, many times throughout the month. So it's really the relationships that you build with people, your clients. That I like the animals, but it's really the relationships that you build with your clients.
All right, over here.
I was wondering, what was it like to work with Gene Wilder? Was he as quirky off camera as he was on camera?
He was, but in a really good way. So his career, like after Willy Wonka, and not because of Willy Wonka, but he started working with Richard Pryor and Mel Brooks, and his career just went through the roof. But he was a wonderful man, both he and Jack was pretty much my mentor. I was a rookie, and he really kind of took me under his wing. And Jack was both, but mainly Jack was an extremely humble person, and Jack still is one of the few people that's won an Oscar, Tony, and an Emmy. So, very accomplished actor. So, but they were good people. If there was a dark side to making the film, our director was a tough guy to vote with. Sorry. But our director was tough to work with, and he was the toughest director I've ever had to work with.
Well, you're not going to work with me unless you come. All right, we have time for just 2 or 3 more. Come here, honey. What would you like to ask?
How long did it take to make the movie?
So about 5 months, but then, it takes longer now to make a film, or back then it took longer to make a film than it does now. But for like pre-production, writing the script, it probably, by the time it actually was done, 1.5 years, almost 2 years, so quite a while.
All right, we're going to make it quick, okay? Because I saw 2 people that are going like this, okay?
What was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene, other than working with Julie, and I think working with Jack when Charlie actually had to sing and dance a little bit.
All right, 2 more. The gentleman in the back, please.
To me, the most meaningful scene in the movie was when you returned the everlasting God stopper, which is how you got
Right.
the factory, and I wondered how meaningful that was for you.
That was a good day because Gene, I mean, he was a close friend of mine, but he goes, I'm not going to fill you in on what I'm going to do, you know, and so he kind of blasted Charlie, you know, so that was...
You lose, you get nothing.
Exactly. But back to your question, you know, I hadn't seen some of my favorite scenes from the film are the short little vignettes when they're looking for the golden ticket. And I think one of my favorite ones is the Dan Rather one, when all the golden tickets have been found, and he goes, you know, we must move on. There's many more meaningful things in life. Offhand, I can't think of what they are. But those scenes, I had no idea until I saw the very first cut of the film that they were in there. But they were great. Or the woman that whose husband has just been kidnapped, and he wants a case of Wonka bars, and she wants to know how long she has to think about it.
All right, here's our last question.
I just want to know if the chocolate river is really chocolate.
So,
I read the answer.
Yeah, no, unfortunately not. But kind of chocolate water, yeah, wasn't, yeah, not so. So I didn't have to deal with it, but poor Michael Augustus had to, yeah, got sucked up the tube. But I don't think, you know, here we are all these years later, Johnny Depp's film, their chocolate, pretty much. But Johnny Depp's chocolate river looked as bad as ours did. So I wasn't impressed.
All right, that is it. Okay, we are going to...
Okay, so we have a few things. We don't want to mow down Peter. We'll let Peter get to his position. Oh, actually, while